Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 video. If you've been keeping up with the channel for the past few weeks, you will notice that our startup today is a little bit different, and that is because although we are still running the Gauntlet, we have officially transitioned into the Rise of the Phoenix Gauntlets. And that starts with the level 25 warm-up cooldown gauntlet, which is subsequently where you unlock Iceman. So we have touched on this gauntlet a couple of times in the past, but we're going to go through what each of the phases look like, as well as the clear conditions that you will need to reap all of the rewards and get that 4-star clear on this gauntlet. So this gauntlet is relatively short. It's broken down into 3 phases, and with the Rise of the Phoenix gauntlets, you do need to keep in mind that there are danger room hazards present in each and every iteration of them. So the danger room hazard in this first phase of the fight is a little fire ring that sits right in the middle of the stage, and you can take these out. They do have a health indicator similar to the arcane artifacts from the Dark Dimension, so just keep in mind as you are seeking to finish out these fights that you can take them down to make your fight a little bit easier. If you're going for speed though, you can ignore them. Just be aware that you may need to roll around some of the effects that they have as we go through, at least with the artifacts that are of that caliber. This first fight, it's pretty straightforward apart from that danger room artifact. We also just are tasked with taking down Juggernaut and Mystique, and no really other big quirks about that fight. The second phase of this gauntlet is in, as I've vocalized many times, my least favorite section of the game, which is Hell. And not only do we have that, but we have one of the developers' favorite portions of that run, which has that hazard run and then this bridge over to Hela's castle, which involves not only taking out a couple of enemies and eventually facing off against Magneto, but it also has the unique attribute of it being a time trial where you have 2 minutes on the clock, but you can increase the time which you have to finish out this fight as you take out enemies that are in your path. The danger room hazard that is present here, you just saw, it's a very large piston that drops down from the ceiling. It does telegraph its movement with a large red circular area, so you can get out of the way of that, which actually makes charging some of Thanos Infinite's best attacks a little bit counterproductive, because you are very much locked in space with what you do. The best one to get away from that is going to be his first ability, which involves that dash, as you can detonate it prematurely and get out of range of the effect in question. Once you're through that mandatory combat section, you can then continue down this corridor. You can fight these enemies if you want to, or you can zoom through them to the point where the Magneto fight will automatically trigger in. It's honestly up to you. I'm taking these guys out just to make sure that I have my extreme attacks on hand for the third phase of this gauntlet. And now that we have those enemies taken down, we've got well over 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes on that timer to finish out this fight. And we've just got to finish Magneto off here. Though it is fairly simple, we're going to use Thanos' ability to paralyze Magneto here with his 4th ability there, and then we just lay into him with a bunch of different attacks, and that is going to finish off that fight as well. Which brings us into the third and final phase of this gauntlet, which is a confrontation against Iceman. Now, there are artifacts right here off the front side that we will need to take down. Well, you don't need to take them down. You can just blitz right past them, but there is a reason that I'm focusing on them and taking them down, which I will explain when we get into the 4 items that you need to get the 4 clear in this gauntlet as soon as we have this combat section finished out. But in the combat against Iceman, really all you've got to do is hone in on him directly, and since Thanos can snap him out of his stagger, we can detonate all of our extreme attacks on him at once. It doesn't quite take him out with the extreme attacks that I'm using, but we are shortly able to finish out what is remaining of his health. And that is all you really need to know in terms of what to expect in those 3 different sections of the gauntlet. But now that we have looked at those 3 segments, let's go over the 4 different clear conditions to get the 4 stars and the full rewards. Of course, clearing this gauntlet once is always going to be that first one, and instead of getting a standard clear reward with that, you actually are rewarded with unlocking Iceman as a playable character as you take out that gauntlet. So make sure that you are at least aware of what the 3 phases are going to look like before you look to take that on. But they're fairly straightforward. They're an introductory type gauntlets to the overall mechanics that are included within the Rite of the Phoenix. So you really should be able to summarize these out even just on a cold read. But if you're here watching that for some information, well, this is where we break it down for you. So thanks for checking it out. The second clear condition is going to be destroying 7 or more hazard devices, and that is what is outlined by that flame hazard device in that first section, as well as the ice artifacts that we saw in the last one. To my knowledge, there's not a way to take out this piston artifact as it drops down from the heavens that is located within the second leg of the gauntlet, but 7 of them is pretty straightforward. You can get 1 right off the bat, and the first one is you can take out the one that spawns right in the center of the arena, and then as we saw before, there are 2 before you actually get into the Iceman fight, and there are actually a couple of additional ones that spawn in as you are confronting Iceman, which you probably noticed in the background, and you'll see once we get back around to that segment running here in the background again. But they went down due to the extreme attack detonations that we were doing with the different members of our team. Which actually brings us to the third clear condition, which you can need to get in order to earn a star and some additional rewards. That is dealing 650,000 or more damage using extreme attacks. And I found that with Iceman, as long as you run that gauntlet twice and detonate your extreme attacks all on him at the same time, providing that you wear down his stamina bar or use that Thanos Infinite to instantly take that stamina bar down, you can get a fair chunk of that, well over half actually. So running this gauntlet twice and reserving your extreme attacks for the fight against Iceman will allow you to get the clear condition for the extreme attack damage. Though you could use it in other sections, I tend to focus on using them against some of the mini-boss characters, mainly because you're getting a bigger bang for your buck with the extreme attack damage, because the bosses do have higher amounts of health, as well as making sure that we can meet the clear condition. In other circumstances, it may be beneficial to detonate those extreme attacks where you can affect some of the smaller grunt type enemies, but all things considered, it got the job done, and that's what we were here for. The fourth and final clear condition, which you need to be aware of, it's really just making sure that you're keeping an eye on the total score that you need in order to gain that final reward, and that is earning a score of 250,000 points or more. With my team setup, I had to run this gauntlet twice and then start a third run, but I was able to quit out after the first section in that third run because it allowed me to meet the score criteria. That may vary depending on damage you do and how efficiently you are clearing out those gauntlets, as the score is calculated based off a couple of different factors, including time remaining. So just keep that in mind as you are looking to finish off those fights on your own. And as you'll notice there in the background, you can see up towards the top of this arena, there is that final artifact, which I had mentioned or made reference to, and with all of our extreme attack detonations, they went down very quickly. And that is everything that you need to know about the warm-up cooldown gauntlet. So thanks again for tuning in. If you found this video enjoyable or helpful, please feel free to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily content, as I have videos coming your way every single day. We'll be back on Monday with the next phase in the Rite of the Phoenix Gauntlet saga, and until then, I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.